Hey, welcome back. This is part 6 of building the Pulumi Schema Explorer. Today, I think I want to build one of the most exciting features of this whole thing, which is building a schema differ for a specific schema against different versions. So last time we went and implemented resource examples and docs and properties, which is somewhere in here. Yeah, for example, this is the function info, which I've added for functions as well. So we have documentation for functions, their inputs, their outputs, examples, as well as docs for resources, their properties, their input properties and output properties, and the rest of the examples. I've also went ahead and refactored the tabs a little bit, so now they look like this. I don't know about you, but I really like how they turned out because, well, this is like really simple, and I've did this across every example where we have tabs, so that's nice. Okay, so in this one I want to add a new tab here that says versions, and I want to show all the available versions of a specific resource plugin, and you can, and then there will be a button to say diff against that version. So if you see v2.26, there will also be v2.27, and I think there's even a v2.28 at the time of recording this. So we will load all the releases in the versions tab, and we will click on diff, and then some computation happens which diffs the two schemas, and then we show the results on the page. So let's go ahead and actually start doing that. Like I said, now that I've refactored the tabs, they look nicer. Oh yeah, so here I have the Pulumi Schema Explorer, and the new tab will be next to the release notes, right? So there will be a new tab called versions. I'll call it versions, selected tab, and set selected tab. So this is the title, and this is like the underlying value that I'm using to keep track of which tab is being selected at the moment. So versions, and now if we have versions, then I need to show, well, schema versions, right? I have name, version, and a schema. I think, now I'm thinking about it, I really need the repository URL, I think. Yeah, let's make it dependent on repository URL. So there has to be a repository URL to be able to get the schema versions. So repo URL, okay. And I will steal this a bit. So get release notes. Yeah, let's do that here. So schema versions takes repo URL and the schema. Let's go ahead and implement this function. Takes repo URL and schema if I need it. Well, I don't think I need it really, because I have the repo URL. React component. The repo URL, it will be like React, or I mean HTML versions, okay? Same here, only if it has a repository. Then we add these two tabs. Yeah, that makes sense. Only if repository exists, then we can start using it. And the same here, we get a repo URL. And we will have to go to the backend to retrieve all versions from GitHub API. So let's see how this looks like. Loading schema, versions, there it is. Release notes, I think still works, yes, okay. So versions will go out to the backend and actually retrieve new releases. So let's see. Let's call this, I think a plugin reference is all I need. So get versions. Get schema versions. We'll take actually takes the same information as the release notes request, but I will just duplicate that. So it's a get schema versions request. And returns an async list of plugin reference list, basically. So we have get local plugins, which gets them from my local machine, and we have plugins references that are being retrieved from the schema. Get schema versions from GitHub, let's call that that. GitHub, not Gitbug, thank you. With that saved, we go to the server and actually implement it. It's same old, it won't work at first, which will, okay, sure. I don't know if it's if it did the right thing there, but let's do that here. Okay, so release. Let's see, owner and repository. And version. No, it did not do the thing I wanted. Map each release to well, I think we can simplify that actually. So we just get the list of versions. So that's a string list. I think that's a lot easier. Save it here. And for each release, give me the version of that release. Okay, that's a lot easier. Releases, sequence, map. Oh, version returns. Okay, then that's a choose. There we go. Version returns option of string, so it should be choose. Alright, so that's get schema versions from GitHub. Let's save it here. We give that a try. Let's give that a try on the back end. What? Okay, now that works. It was failing for a bit. let's give that a head, a local PI docs, get schema versions. It takes a owner, which is, well, Pulumi. Reposit. What name does it have? Let's see. Plugin name. No, repository and version. Yeah, it does not have the exact same things. That's for sure. We don't need version here, so only repository and version. Yeah, we don't need to use any version here. Okay. Go back here. We only need owner and repository. So something like Pulumi AWS. Doing something, and there we go. These are all the versions we have. That's nice. Took a second there. Let's go back and actually start using this from the front end. Index. I said I would be using the versions thing. Get release notes, basically this. Get release notes and HTML. None, just for the time being. Okay, so we have repo URL, which is a string. We do not need version, and get schema versions from GitHub using this request. Otherwise, we return empty list. And this thing, repository. This thing depends on the repository. Alright, and we're not talking about get release notes, we're talking about get versions. And here we have versions. And once we have those, we can start iterating. So match versions with deferred, has not started yet, HTML, none. In progress, loading versions. Probably want to see a bit more than that, so we have a div, a block, and then we have a progress bar, HTML progress. Class name, progress is small primary. Okay, that looks good. Okay, deferred failed, then show something generic, and deferred resolved. We will actually start showing more things. Here I'll make a list, so basically HTML UL for version in version. Nope, don't do anything, it's just this thing. What, it doesn't accept version? Okay. I always like to make one less indentation version. Okay. So repository takes the repo URL. And I also want to use the name of the schema. So schema name, or let's call it package name, so that this becomes package name v version. There we go. So here we load versions and we just show him. That looks good, I think. I think I might actually want to make it somewhat larger. So subtitle for each li element. Okay, let's see how that looks like. Versions, loading versions. And there we have them. Let's make it capitalize package name. Okay, let's do some more things here. So prop, style margin. Okay, 10 is fine. Prop children. Let's add a subtitle and a button next to it to actually diff it. No, not the release notes. I want HTML button, small text diff. Maybe I'll make two buttons even. One is called explore and the other is called diff. Okay, let's see how that looks like. There's a big space in between the text and the buttons that I don't really like. Yeah, this is the cause of the subtitle basically. Okay. Yeah, I want to get rid of this basically. Okay. Subtitle has this font size, 1.5. Okay. So instead of subtitle, I'll just go with HTML prop style, gonna be font size 18, which looks good, I think. Then prop text is what I wanted for my subtitle. Margin button 20 is primary and is primary as well. Floor and diff, okay. Yeah, and I think I already started to reach my rate limit, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, API rate limit exceeded. There's a good news. Authenticated requests got a higher rate limit. Okay. Thinking of using just a couple of them here. Okay, I won't paste all of them, just gonna paste a couple. So this one. This one. And this one. Okay, I'll do a bit more. Until the rate limit is back. Okay. I don't know why I did is small, doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, we can explore and we can diff, except that explore needs to do some margin. Prop, style, margin to the right is 10, that's good. Explore will be disabled when the version is equal to the schema version. I don't have a schema here? Oh. Okay, I'll just give it the schema then. I need more information. Schema is schema. Our URL will be here. Okay, that's easier. Package name is just schema.name. And it's disabled when the schema version is the same, okay? Yeah, I'll do the same for both explore and diff because, well, because they're the same. Don't need to diff the same schema. There we go, because we're looking at this, we don't see it anymore. I think I even don't want to have his primary when, if not this thing, then it's primary. Yeah, something like that. That's way nicer. Okay. Let's see if the rate limit issue has fixed. And I think I definitely need to do some caching later. Yeah, it's not. Okay, let's deal with it like this right now. Explore should do something similar as when you search the results here. So explore on click. That is not correct. So let's go to Schema Explorer, see what that does for GitHub releases. Repo name, where does repo name come from? Oh, match repo split, okay. But that's because repo is not here. It's just the full name of the repository, and there it is the full URL. Okay, we can work with this. So I'm going to copy this over here. So let's say let repo is the full name of the repository. Well, full repo name, I need it right here. Full repo name. Right, this works nice. So explore should work. If I go to versions and I say explore, it goes to v2 5.27, which is correct because I have it on my local plugins. So that shouldn't like hit the GitHub API. If I go explore here again, it goes to this one. Is there one I don't have? No, I have all 4 of these. So that's fine. But what happens when I go to Scaleway? Okay, Scaleway doesn't have 1.6. Doesn't have these. Okay. Okay, I'll keep testing with this one. I'll keep testing with this one. And next up is diff. All right, on click. Very similar. But now it's actually a diff third party, but now it's actually like diff version, current version, and the one you clicked. So schema version. Oh, I don't have it here. Okay, let me add it as input as well because I don't want to check their string. Schema version. We can do this. We'll simplify things a bit. Disabled when a version equals the schema version. Here we're just exploring. And here we're diffing, so we go diff first party plugin, diff the current version, which is the schema version, against the version I'm selecting. As for the third-party plugins, it doesn't do anything right now because you need to implement that later. Let's implement only the diff version for a first-party plugin, schema version, and version. So we have a new route, new top-level route. Oh, that's what you want. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Fix a boolean. There we go. Okay, that's easy. Let's go ahead and implement. Let's go ahead and implement the new tab URL, which is right here. So if we're talking about diff name version and version A and version B, then we show the diff Pulumi Schema diff. Yes, indeed, Pulumi Schema diff. Name version A, version B. React component, and it returns the diff. The diff of schemas diff of name v version A going to version B. Versions. Okay, I'll start with a lower version and diff it against video. Okay, so that works really nice. Once we get into this view, we assume that AWS is part of the local plugins, so that should be fine. And here we should start implementing a differ. But first, let me make this a nice subtitle. HTML h1 prop class name title prop text. Actually, not text, I will do children. HTML text. So this thing, and then I want a nice arrow. I don't want the HTML arrow, so HTML_I. That is exactly what I wanted. let's see how nice this renders out. HTML HR. HTML React fragment. Put these two here. Okay, something like this. Capitalize name. And there we go. Is there a long arrow? That's not a thing. Okay, so right now the assumption is that diff works on installed plugins. So when we ask the backend to diff to schemas, we assume that they are coming from local plugins, which is fine for the time being. So I will handle third-party plugins later, and I'll keep testing with those until I implement somehow retry logic for rate limited requests, or somehow like cache results so that we don't ask for, so that we don't hit the GitHub API as often as we need to. Okay, so server, let's implement, or actually shared, let's implement the differ. So diff schema request takes a, no, it doesn't take two schemas, it takes a plugin. Do I have all my things as uppercase? Why do I have that? I don't know why. Plugin, which is a string version, going from version A to version B. And then we have the diff result, which is a bit interesting. So diff result, we'll talk a bit about the differences. So first, let's say added resources is a resource list. Removed resources added resources, removed resources, added functions, removed functions, I don't have types yet. Well, I don't care about types yet. More about the added resources. And now changed resources. And changed resources will take let's say change resources will take a resource and its changes, right? Type resource change is either added property of string times property, removed property. So these are like the resource change. So we have resource times changed resources. Changed resource is, well, a resource and it changes, which is exactly what I want. So this thing returns a list of those things. So these are our diff results. Of course, I will be adding way more things here, but we can imagine that when we add resources from version B that are not in version A, they're here, but if they're in version B and not in version A, then they're removed, basically. That's how we go about things. Let's diff schema, which takes diff schema request and returns the diff result. That is not bad at all, I think. Okay. The build failed on the server, that's good. I mean, that's expected. Let's implement a simple differ. So let's diff schema, which takes a diff schema request. So first schema or schema A. Schema B. And we have requests plugin version A and then plugin version B. Oh, this thing is not synchronous, okay. Added resources is this, removed resources, removed functions, change resources is this, okay, and we return it. Let's call this the empty if is the following, match schema A with schema B. If this has some error, okay, let's extend the schema to also include errors just in case we aren't able to load the schemas. So this is a result of, well, diff result or string, which is the error type. Okay, all good here. Server. So if we have error here, then we return error. Likewise, if we have an error, but if we have OK schema and OK schema, then we do some diff. And right now we just say OK empty diff. Why is it not happy about this? Oh yeah, because diff schema. So right now it just returns an empty diff. Yeah, that's good. And now let's start adding at least the added resources. Okay. Still failing. Yeah, now it works. Let's go back here. So after we've shown these, where do we show the diff? It's somewhere here, right? Yeah, schema diff. Diff results is diff schema, which takes three things. Plugin name is name, not plugin name. Oh, just plugin, okay. plugin. Version A is version A. Version B is version B, and this is not very readable, so let's go like this. There we go. So these are the diff results. Let's render them out. Let's go deferred. Has not started yet. Deferred. In progress, and this should render some progress bar for me. That's good. It has failed. Yep, same old, same old. And here, let's see, added resources. Should I make tabs for these things? Yeah, let's make tabs for those. Tabs. Let's call added resources, and we say list count or list length if added resources. Let's make tabs. Let's selected tab and set selected tab is React use state added resources will be my initial tab. Selected tab and set selected tab. Okay. So that's added resources, added functions. Actually, I don't know if I should add them here, if I should make tabs for those. Let's do something even simpler. So HTML UL. HTML subtitle added resources for resource in if we have any diff dot added resources, if it's not empty, then added resources for each resource in the added resources. We have an li prop style color will be light green. Thank you. And resource will be, let's see, prop text, or actually children indeed. So we have exactly what I wanted, but not a check, a plus, I think. So it's a plus and HTML span with the name of the resource, text, resource. one is the member name from the token. Again, too much indentation, so this is what we go with. All right. Go to this one. Versions, diff against this one, holding diff, and it won't show anything. But that's not exactly correct. So let's go back to the server and implement the diff. The added resources. The added resources. Well, the added resources is a list of resources. So for each resource in schema B resources, if not map contains key resource dot token inside schema A resources. Oh, I always need to say yeah, the key of the resource is actually here. So if not contains key, then resource, basically. These are the added resources. Let's remove the resources that are schema A but are not in schema B. That is correct. So okay, empty diff with these things. There we go. Save. Let's refresh this. Loading diff. Hey, we have something. We have something, that's good. But let's make this look way better. So not light green, just green. Okay, that's good. Style, margin right is 10. Oh, should be in a separate one. There we go. Let's make this span a bit bigger. Prop style font size 18. Prop text is this thing, and just next to it I want a very small text of just the token, and this one is style color black, just to show the resource token of this added resource. Okay, that's almost good. Give it a bit of margin. Hey, that's nice. So these are the added resources. Let's do the same for the removed resources. It is unfortunate that I don't have any navigation going on in this one. But I think I could easily add it later, or add another view here to the right that shows the things that are deleted or removed. But that's a bit for later. So let's continue on with the removed resources. And I want the exact same thing almost, except that this is indeed minus. And this is, where is it? It's red. Okay. Looks like we didn't remove any resources, so let me compare from v.18 all the way to v27. Okay, that's a lot of added resources. Yeah, I think I might need to add tabs for this, for added resources and in each one of the removed resources and whatnot. I want a version where I at least have a removed resource. Let's go to v4.27.1. 4.27.1. Oh, I can just click on it, go to versions, and compare against latest. Okay, not a single resource has been deleted. Let me find a very old version. These versions didn't even have Darwin ARM 64 builds. So let's go 10 maybe. Yeah, because this specific one was not available. I think it's downloading the schema, that's why it's taking a bit long. In the meantime, I think I'll add some tabs. So yeah, selected resource, added tabs. Let's go with tabs and almost. Added resources. Selected tab and set selected tab. Okay. Second is for removed resources. And changed resources. And now match the selected tab, match selected tab with, if it's the added resources tab, don't care too much if they're empty or not. Here, whether they're removed resources, then we show those. And change resources will be HTML. Change resources. Let's remove the subtitles because they're not needed. Anything else? Unknown tab. Is it still downloading the same plugin? Okay, let me do something else. So starting from this one, it's local, so it's not just loading it from my laptop. So diff it against latest, added resources, removed resources, there are none. Okay. Removed resources and change resources. Now I think change resources are a bit more interesting because if you add a property, that's more likely than adding a full-on resource per version changes. To do this one, and let's go back to the server to do changes. So let's change resources. So for resource A, this is resource A.key, resource A.key. So this is resource A, and okay, let's do it like this. Resource A is resource.value. We can find a token. We have two resources. Let's diff their changes. Let's look at the types. So going from resource A to resource B, we'll have a list of changes, added property and removed property. Okay. Okay, so let changes is for property in resource A properties, resource B properties. So this one is well, I'll just keep it as changes, right? So changes. This one is resource change added property. So property A is not in the resources of property B. And now we do the other way around. For the removed properties,
I guess I'm here now, but I don't really know what I'm doing.
let's require qualified access for this one. Server. So changes, if changes is non-zero, then we actually have then yield this, otherwise actually this whole thing is fine. So calculate changes, and if the changes are non-zero, resource A token. Here we go. Edit resources, change resources. Okay. So these are only two types of property changes. It's just added or removed, but some properties could also be like marked secret or marked deprecated. So these are different types of changes that we can check for. So with that, let's take a look. Index. Look at added properties. And here we have changed properties. Change resource. Member name from token. All right. except then that after the children of the ally, last children is going to be another HTML UL list, HTML for each change basically. For each change, match change with, is it an added property? Resource change. Added property, name and property. Then we do something which is green. So this is for these two. Removed property, red, okay. So this is for the changed resources. Okay. Let's diff, that's probably gonna take a bit longer. Oh, well. Removed resources, nothing. Changed resources. Okay, so certificate. Remove key algorithm. Secret rotation added tags. Okay. Need to add a bit of margin here, so margin left, property, children, probably gonna need to change this into its own component because it's gonna be a bit messy with all these changes here. Yeah, that's more like it. Let's actually double check. So we have this thing, v20. Let's check. So in certificate, in v20, it should have key algorithm, but in v27 it shouldn't. So let's go to check that. Loading schema, resources, certificate, inputs, key algorithm. There are two certificates from different modules. No, I don't see it. Go back to the diff. So ACM certificate, the ACM module. ACM certificate, inputs. I don't see it, so key algorithm. What about in 27? ACM certificate inputs. There is a key algorithm, so I think I just did it the other way around. I was suspecting that because when you check the properties, you check first in resources B. Yeah, because that's what I did here. To check that something is added, you start with schema B. So this goes here. If there's a property in resource B that is not in resource A, then we consider that added. Otherwise, if there's one in A that is no longer in B, we consider that as removed. Because when I looked at it, it didn't look right. Didn't look right because there are a lot of removed properties. You wouldn't expect to remove that many. Okay, let's versions, and well, I want to start from 2.24 and diff against latest. These are the added resources. That's good. Remove, still none. Changed resources. Yeah, that's more like it. That's nice. Okay, let's add some more things here. Removed property, size 12 will be property description. Description is an optional, so default arg. There we go. As for the added ones, it's more margin left, not so much right. Okay. Also needs style black, of course. Okay, that's also too much margin, so let's do 5. Style color black. Because that's makes it more readable. And instead of text, I might actually go ahead and do a markdown. So prop children is markdown content. Okay, let's see how this looks like. Yeah, that looks way better, except that also for change resources, I want some style margin bottom like 20. And this was 14 instead of 10. Because I think we actually are interested in what has changed and what is added. Now the resource token still needs and can stay a bit small, but other things are not. Okay, that's nice. So changed resources, added desired capacity type. I'm still not sure about this blue, because once you have something added, it should be green, right? So it's a plus. Yeah, so the resource itself is blue. No, we already did the blue on the resource there, so it should be, I don't know, it should be green actually. Yeah, the name of the property should be green. And it doesn't really need changes there. This one can stay black. This is red. Also red. All right. Okay, that looks better. Except that I actually pair change want a small margin style margin bottom 10, just a small margin, and this goes back to red. Where is it? Yeah, because I did undo twice. Yeah, that's nicer. Here in this span, I want actually two things. So crop children. I want HTML text with the name of the property and render type property schema type, so that I also can see the schema value. Okay, maybe. Okay, let's see how this looks like first. So children here and here as well in the same span. I think changed resources are much more interesting, to be honest, than added ones. Yeah, this is not the nicest. Let's add a space in here and HTML another span which overrides style crop style color black crop children. It's basically this. No, the space is like this. Then you close it with this one. Hmm. Can't do that because the parentheses would be green. We don't want that. Okay, let's do that for removed properties as well. That is almost perfect. Except that I also want the style font size to be small. So 12. Okay, that is really, really nice. I only don't see any removed properties to see how they look like, so I'm just gonna go back to 18. Yeah, so for secret rotation, tags have been removed. And tags doesn't seem to have any description, is that correct? Secret rotation. Because it did have a markdown content. Let's double check that. So we have secret rotation from Secret Manager on version 5.18. Go. Secret rotation, inputs, yes, tags indeed did not have any description and it was removed later on. Secret rotation, inputs, does not have tags anymore. All right. I think this was pretty interesting actually. So let's go back. Okay, so what happens if we go versions and we diff against a previous one? We will see that properties are removed, added removed properties. So when they were previously added, they are now removed. That makes sense. And changed properties will be the opposite of what has been added. Yeah, that's really nice. So between 2.6 and 2.7. Now if we flip them, what if we do the same one? To show nothing basically. 7. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's really cool. This was really interesting. I think I'm going to add a bunch more things to it later and see if I can actually start with the publishing process, because this is already very useful and I think it can already be used for the normal plugins. I still need to fix it for like a project like Scaleway and make it diff against a third-party plugin, which I don't have right now. So, or maybe if I can see like, okay, we have 1.4 and 1.6. So we can diff 1.4 against 1.6. These are the added resources. And bare metal server has added options. Okay, I still also need to work on the reference things here, but that's okay. We'll do it later. All right. Well, I think I will call it a day. I'll be publishing this, the code to GitHub as always. You can see the changes there. And at some point I will edit the list a little bit and publish the whole playlist as a YouTube playlist. So, and we'll share that when the time comes. But for the time being, thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one. See you next time.